This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to support the Boss Rush Network and our family of podcasts, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushnetwork. Thanks for your continued support.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, not Corey Dierig. It's me, your boy, LeRon, the PC muscle race himself, back in the house, as always. And, of course, I've got the one, the only, the Mad Pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov, back in the house. What's up, Steph?
Hey, how come I'm wearing a sleeveless tee and you're not?
Hey, cause it's called inverted day. Like this time the ladies are doing it, not the gentlemen.
And you're Corey, and I'm gonna be LeRon. What's poppin'?
I'm actually wearing the black shirt, just like Corey would most nights. All right, what's good?
Not much. Just happy to be here and not working instead. And I finished a game today. I'm excited to talk about it later.
Oh, awesome! I'm happy you're here. I am, because I don't know. People heard that Corey wasn't on the show, so I guess everybody decided, okay, whatever. When LeRon's running the show, we're not coming.
No, this
Also,
is good. And you have an exciting. Sorry to cut you off, but you have an exciting topic.
Oh, thanks. See, this is the good stuff that happens when Corey's not here. So everybody, make sure to tune in more often. Also, back in the house of tonight is the man himself, PK Power, Pat Klein. What's up, dude?
Hello. So I guess if you're Corey and Stephanie is LeRon, that makes me Steph. So I'm the pretty one.
That's right. You're very pretty.
Pat those lashes for me, Pat.
Yeah. See, some of the stuff you guys miss when you only listen to the audio-only version of the podcast. You better make sure to come over to the YouTube channel and check it out from time to time. You never know what you'll see. You always won't know what you miss. All right, what's up, Pat? How's it going?
It's going. It's been quite a week and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. We all know about those weeks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And tonight, as a special guest, we have someone who actually needs an introduction because I've only met this gentleman once via Boss Rush Podcast, but I want everyone to just go ahead and give a big welcome to Roger, the man, Reichardt. Hey, dude, what's up?
Hey, thanks for having me. Wait, does that make me Patrick though? Am I Patrick tonight?
If you
Not
want to
just
be
Patrick, you're PK Power.
PK Power. Hey, Milwaukee's cool.
Yeah. Another Wisconsin
awesome.
night. Yes, it is. No.
Roger, our brother from another mother.
Roger,
right.
I came up with the perfect nickname for you. You are Rog, ally of Boss Rush.
Oh, I like that. I
love it.
Play off
that's
Rog
cool.
ally.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm like some fantasy character from like a faraway land, and then I just come marching in and be like, "Hello, I'm Rog, ally." And then I'd be like, "Oh my gosh,
Rog Ally has joined the party.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone, happy Wednesday, happy Hump Day, happy Podcast Day.
Yay!
Happy.
Yeah. I'm just ready for the week to be over, as always. Yeah, I feel like we get to Wednesday, and I'm always like, I'm just ready for the week to be over.
Yeah, and don't audience get misconstrued of our exhausted voices. It's not that we don't want to be here. It's the week itself, outside of the podcast, that drove us this way.
Yeah. So Roger, take a moment, like tell us in the audience like who you are, what you're about, and all that good stuff that you feel like you need us to know.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. My name is Roger. I also have a podcast, the Gamerheads podcast. We've been podcasting since 2016, and I do reviews and podcasts. I met you all at PAX. Actually, I met Steph first, which was very funny through a funny email.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody sent out an email, mass blasted everybody an email, and then everybody on there was like, well, why don't we just all get to know each other? And then Steph said, I'm from Boston. And I said, cool, I've never been to Boston. Where should I go to eat and such? So anyway, long story. Anyway, so that's how I met you all.
Well, it's
And
not just that, but I was like, oh, just some random person wanted a restaurant recommendation. And then lo and
oh, yeah.
behold, our first day in the media room, you sat at the
Yeah,
table.
that's right.
I was
That's
like,
right.
no way,
Mhm.
dude.
Yeah, that's so funny. I was just sitting there and then I'm like, are you Steph from the email that I sent? So yeah, that was really fun. So yeah, so I do podcasting, I do interviews. In fact, when I don't know when this episode launches or releases, but I just interviewed Zalavir Nelson Jr. talking about the game Life Eater, which I'll talk about a little bit later today. But that was a really fun interview. So if you get a chance, you should go to gamerheadspodcast.com and give that a listen. That should release on Friday, the 7th and of June. Yeah, so that's me.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. That will be out by the time this podcast comes out.
Oh, should I mention I'm also from Wisconsin? Should I mention that?
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm also from Wisconsin. I'm actual north, but not real north, but I'm north of Patrick, so.
Yep.
But not in the
All right.
north.
Well, another Wisconsin.
know.
That means. Oh, go ahead, Pat.
In Wisconsin, north is anything north of you. So
Yeah, that's true.
You are in the north of me.
That's true.
So.
But my wife is from Minocqua, so she would tell me,
Ooh.
this is not north. This is not up north. Up north for her is like, way up in Ironwood in Michigan and such. So.
Yep. Place where it's just trees.
That's right.
Nothing else.
Well, Pat, I hate to break it to you, but you're no longer special because we have another Wisconsinite on the show. So you're no longer special.
You know what? I will share that Wisconsinite spotlight with Rog.
Ally of Boss Rush.
Mm-hmm. Haler of Wisconsin.
Speaking of, if you want to be an ally of Boss Rush, you can go ahead and support the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush Network through our Patreon. Joining Patreon at any tiers you like, that's right for you, and that's as such. It earns you such perks as early ad-free access to this, as well as other podcasts, exclusive access to the Spotlight interview access threads, as well as voting rights on the Video Game Book Club, and much more. So start off by heading to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, and then checking out, making sure you do all that stuff, get right, figure out the right tier for you, and become a member of the team, technically speaking. Yeah,
listeners, you should do that because these folks do a really good job. So, so support indie game journalism, and yeah, these folks do a good job. And I've seen them in action at PAX, so I've seen what they do, and they're good people too. So.
Hell yeah. And also, if you want to see more of us in action, go check out our TikTok page. Like there's stuff always popping up, especially there's still highlights from PAX that are showing up like, weeks later and stuff like that. So check it out. But as always, your listenership and your viewership is always enough for us. So if you're watching the video right now on YouTube, you can hit that subscribe button and leave us a thumbs up and or a comment. Like we'd like it both if you want to, but comments good enough for us and a thumbs up. If you're listening to the podcast services such as Apple's Podcast or Spotify, consider leaving us a 5-star review, a 5-star rating, and a review. There we go. I'll get it right one of these days. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic with over 50 designs to rep your favorite shows and much more. As always, you can check out all of our content, reviews, articles, and more over at bossrush.net. All right. There we go. We got all the pleasantries out the way now, so now we can talk shop.
Nice.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with what we've been playing. And Roger, since you are the man of the hour, we're going to go ahead and let you start first.
Well, thank you. So the first game I'll mention, it is closed now, but I did get into the 33 Immortals closed beta.
Ooh.
And that game is very fun. So if you don't know what this game is, it's like think Hades, except with 33 people, and you're in hell, or an afterlife of some sort, but it seems like hell, and you are trying to rebel against the gods that put you there, and you go around and you have 33 people in the level. Then there's I think they're called torment chambers.
Totally sounds like hell, not heaven.
Yeah.
Right.
That's on brand. That's on brand.
Yeah.
So those open up. So like what you do is you go around, and only 6 people can go into these chambers at one time, and then you have to do so many of these chambers to unlock like the end part of that level. So if you didn't get into the torture chamber or whatever it's called, then you just have to go around and fight monsters and collect loot and such. But then if everybody is able to ascend, as they call it, you can ascend and fight the boss. And I will say I made it to the boss several times. I never beat the boss, even with 33 people. Like, we just all got slaughtered.
Wow.
It's really hard. It was really difficult. So, but it's cool. You get a little cat. You can unlock cats. You can unlock different cosmetics. So, like, I don't know. I'm all about the cat, unlocking a cat. But it's a cool game. There's 3 different weapons. So, it's a bow and a sword and some throwing knives. So yeah, I don't know.
Listen, not to go back to the cat thing, but see, just another example, another video game that has selected cats as the animal of choice. Continue,
Girl,
Rod.
stop.
Yeah.
Girl, stop.
Oh, I
just say
got
choose.
a video game with cats in it too. So
Me too.
Okay, good night, everybody. This has been the Boss Rush Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show tonight.
But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool game. So that's one game. I've also been playing Hypercharge Unboxed. So this game it just came out on the Xbox, and you are a little toy. Like, imagine if you were a kid, or at least I did this when I was a kid. You took all your toys and you had big battles with all your toys, right? Like, and that's what this is. So yeah, so it's a tower defense game. You have waves of enemies coming in. Patrick, you said you know what this game is?
this game got a little traction on Twitter recently because someone said, "Oh, your game's stupid," and everyone came to the rescue.
Yeah. So the creators posted that they sold 25,000 copies in like the first day. And somebody tweeted saying, "Your game sucks. You all suck." Something along those lines. Like, this is a joke. You guys are all jokes. And then everybody came to their defense. That was nice. But yeah, it's a cool game. I reviewed it. You can read my review on gamerheadspodcast.com. Yeah, I mean, it's growing up in the 80s, like, it's just a nostalgia moment for me, because a lot of the toys are references the 80s. They're not licensed toys, but they look a lot like they're licensed toys.
Yeah, you're basically a toy, and you're in a toy store, and you're fighting other toys in the toy store.
Yeah, there's other levels too. Like, there's a kid's bedroom, and then there's a backyard, and yeah, it's cool. It's a cool game, and it seems like that seems like for kids, but it's actually pretty difficult. And it's up to 4 players, so you can play up to 4 different play with 3 other friends. And if you don't have 3 friends, you can play with AI, which is very smart. The AI is actually very smart in the game. I was very surprised. So the other game that just came out yesterday, I think, was Star Wars Hunters. I don't know if anybody's playing that here. So that is a arena battle game. It's free to play. It's on iOS, Android, and Nintendo Switch right now. So it's made by Zynga, and who is more famous for the farming game that they have. I forget what it's called, but like some farming game. Free to play game. This is a free to play game too. So like, a lot of people probably were a little leery, like, I'm not sure about this game, but it's actually pretty cool. You can play, like, there's a couple of characters that are unlocked that you can play to start with, and then, like any other free to play game, there's gonna be a battle pass, and if you buy the battle pass, then you can unlock a Mandalorian type character, and but then the rest of it's cosmetics. But it's like Overwatch. If you've played Overwatch, it's like Overwatch with Star Wars characters. So I've been playing that. And the final game I'll just mention here is Life Eater. I don't know if any of you have heard about that game.
I've heard of that game. Someone, one of the people one of the YouTube channels I follow is Skill Up. They had that spotlighted on one of their keep your eye on this type deals. So I've heard the name, but I don't know a lot about the game.
Yeah, it's a kidnapping sim fantasy, dark fantasy game. No, that's how it's built.
Wow.
Yeah, yes, you do. Yes, you do kidnap people. But I think there's more to it. So the story is, or the game is about this guy named Ralph who kidnapped, who answers to a dark lord, and this dark lord tells Ralph that if you don't do my bidding, I will destroy the world and kill everybody. So you have to do my bidding by kidnapping people and sacrificing them. So you have to spy on them, and stalk them. And to do so, it's like a timeline on a video, like here, like we're looking at the Zencaster, right? So it's like a timeline, and you pick different things you want to do in that timeline. Like you might try to, I don't know, like take out the garbage and spy on him when he's taking out the garbage, or the person that you're stalking. Or you might try to cut the power supply to their house. And if you're not caught, like all the different things, if they catch you, then if they catch you too many times, then you fail. But if you're able to do it, then you abduct them, and then through and then you have to do this ritualistic sacrifice, and it asks you questions like, does this person get more than 7 hours of sleep? So you learn this through like stalking them and clicking on the different things. And if they do, break ribs 1 in 5. If they don't, break ribs 23 and 28. If and so there's like different questions, like are they armed? If so, crush their pancreas. So it's it's a dark game, but on the surface it seems like it's just a game where you are abducting people and doing ritualistic sacrifices. But there's more to it. It's more about this guy being lonely, and he really thinks that the world is going to end if he doesn't do these things. He can't tell anybody about it. He doesn't know if the God he believes in is real or not. He thinks it is, but he knows what he's doing is wrong because he gets caught, and he ends up kidnapping the person that sees him, that notices him. And it must be a really weird moment, because like that's the only time that he gets noticed by anybody, is by an innocent bystander. And now this person's locked up in their in his dungeon. And I'm not going to get into too much of that. You have to play the game to find out more about that. But I think I think it's more of a game about mental anguish about being alone, and thinking you're doing the right things even though you're doing even though it's wrong. And what does that mean for you as a person to go through that anguish of dealing with stuff like that? So I don't know. I think it's a fantastic game. It's on Steam, so if you want to go buy that, you should go check that out.
When you were talking about the part about the whole stalking thing, that's when it came back to me. But I didn't. But that was about the most that I got out of like that spotlight back then when it first got onto my radar, I guess you could say. I didn't know it got brutal like that.
Yeah. It's a dark game. Like there's no question about it. But I think there's more to the game than just like, oh, it's a kidnapping simulation game that has some dark sci-fi elements to it. It's more than that. It's more about, what does it mean for a person that's alone and can't talk to anybody? What kind of mental stress does that person go through? What's the mental stress that they go through, thinking that this is their destiny, but they don't want to do it, but they have to do it? Like, I don't know. If you look at it from that lens, it's a much deeper game than just, what is this?
Yeah. Because I was definitely like, what is this?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Anything else? That's all I've been playing.
Very awesome. Pat, we're gonna go to you. I'm not doing you last. Corey's not running the show, so I do whatever I want.
Thank you, LeRon. I appreciate it. And because of that, I won't talk about like 8 games. I'll narrow it down to 4.
Solid 7.
Yeah. No, I mean, I did beat several games since last time I was here, but I'm
curious about one of these games that you have on this list.
Is it game number 21 of 2024?
Yes, it is.
And platinum number 85, Rise of the Ronin.
Oh yeah.
That's right. I finally beat Rise of the Ronin. It took me 75 hours to
Oh my
platinum the
gosh.
game. But I did I 100%ed like all the maps, even though you didn't have to. I got all 100 kitties that you can collect in the game.
Kitty
That's right. You
cats.
can collect kitties, and then you can send them on missions, and then they get items for you.
Yeah,
I,
LeRon.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not. I'm not.
But you were interested in this game. No.
Yeah, now I lost interest.
No.
This is a game that I claimed on my Metacritic draft too. So yeah, I want to know more. I want to know your thoughts on this stuff because it didn't fare too well on Metacritic itself.
You know what? The game has a very interesting history. It takes place for the Meiji Restoration. That's when they kind of finally overthrow a shogun and reinstate the emperor back onto the throne. But the story is very convoluted because your character seems to jump from one side to the other and have almost no consequence whatsoever.
You mean he changes allegiances like left and right?
Yeah, there's two factions. There's the shogunate faction and then the anti-shogunate faction. And you could literally do missions for one or the other and still have friends on the other side that when they come back after fighting you as a boss of one of the missions, they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And it's like, "Dude, we just literally tried to kill each other like 5 minutes ago."
That sounds like social media.
Yeah.
Can you choose which? I mean, can you choose to do certain missions and not to do certain missions? It doesn't affect anything in the game if you choose.
That's the interesting thing. Yeah, you can choose anti or pro shogunate missions, but in the end, the consequences are still going to be the same. That it tells the historic story. So, in spoiler for actual history, the shogunate loses. And gets overthrown by the anti-shogunate factions. But you can still play as the shogunate, and there'll be events like, sure, you may be winning the battle, but then there'll be like a cutscene that completely changes the whole aura, and now all of a sudden the shogun's forces loses. Kind of situation.
Can I ask another question on that?
Go ahead.
So, do you? But you 100%ed it. So, like, if you just focused on one mission, do you think that would have driven the story? I know the end result would be the same, but do you think the storylines would have changed at all, or is it really railroaded?
I think in some events, like in terms of characters who may live or die, you have an ability that unlocks in Chapter 2 called the Testament of Souls, where you can go back and kind of rewrite your history. So if someone died, you can maybe choose a different option where they might actually live. And that character, like if you were to continue the story from there, would show up. So you can also do that, go through like the pro shogunate factions, and then do the Testament of Souls. And once you beat the anti shogunate faction, it'll say, "Would you like to overwrite your history with this option?" So I didn't have to go too far though into that. I didn't have to literally play the game twice to do that though. To see everything, I managed to get the platinum without having to do that. So, but there's a lot of cool characters from history that you can learn. What's cool is that this takes place also in the same time as if you ever played the Like a Dragon series, Like a Dragon Ishin. Kiryu's character plays one of the main characters in this game as well. Well, except for it's not Kiryu; it's just the guy he plays. So
refresh my memory. This is not a studio affiliated with the RGG, is it? Like,
nope, it's not Ninja Theory. Team Ninja.
Team Ninja. Okay.
Yep,
okay.
Team Ninja. So Ninja Gaiden, Neo.
I feel like Team Ninja and RGG are so like adjacent to each other. They might as well be the same studio sometimes.
Yeah. No, I mean, like the RGG obviously is more RPG focused. Team Ninja is more like actiony, because they're famous for their Ninja Gaiden series. And then they went to Neo, and they did Wulong recently, and they jumped back to Japan and did this one. I honestly, I would love to see these guys go back and like recreate Ninja Gaiden again, like reinvent
Would
it.
you? I have a question for you. Would you rather they actually like remake the entire original NES trilogy, or would you like them just to go back to like the current stuff, like the start of the Xbox?
I mean, I never actually played, like, I have didn't really get through either because they were hard. But now with the things that they picked up, in terms of like the Souls-like combat that they're now pretty famous for, like, I
Mhm.
would love to try like a Ninja Gaiden in that kind of format. Maybe a
Mhm.
semi-open world, not as open as Rise, but maybe something more on the lines of like Wulong or Neo. Then you could
Okay.
go back and explore those things while occasionally having a good challenge.
There are days, honestly, when I really wish that sometimes. I mean, like we're in the age of remakes and remasters, so why the hell aren't y'all dipping back into like the old like stuff? What? It's nice that a Link to the Past, for example, got a remake. But what's stopping y'all from doing the original Legend of Zelda? I feel like. What's stopping y'all? Like well, I mean, Metroid Zero Mission is the remake of Metroid, so
Mhm.
fine. But where the hell's my Super Metroid remake?
Super duper Metroid.
I just just going back and like Contra Operation Galuga is basically a remake of the original Contra. It actually is a remake slash mashup of Contra One and Operation C, which is great, But they definitely took some new licenses and stuff like that, and then hopefully we'll have that team back on soon, like because those guys were great when we had them and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, so Rise of the Ronin, would you recommend it to me because like it was on my Metacritic draft and and for a while I was interested in it until like the early release reviews came out, and I was like,
Yeah.
let me sit back on this one.
The combat's great, but the story, like I said, got so weirdly convoluted, and just with the whole back and forth, um, I wouldn't really recommend it too much for the story wise.
Okay,
It,
okay,
it does kind of want overstay its welcome a bit.
that sucks.
Yeah, but the combat is phenomenal. And it's a beautiful game. Like the graphics, while not at the same colorful level as Ghost of Tsushima, has
Hmm.
more of a realistic level of like beauty for the Japanese countrysides and those old style towns. So it was a good game. A good game. Uh, Not game of the year material in my opinion, but it was good. So I've also picked up Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which is going
Please
to
tell
be
me
one of
about
our
that
book.
too.
This game now, this is beautiful. Like I made the mistake and I called it a remaster before the game came out, and I need to correct myself. This definitely feels more like a remake. Like the graphics are absolutely gorgeous. They look, recreated from hand. It's everything now has more of a paper sheen to it, little crinkles here and there in like the environments. Um, the combat super fluid, of course. They help you out with the prompts, so it makes it a little easier, as well as giving you the option to defend or to counterattack. Counterattack being a lot harder to pull off by hitting the button exactly at the right time.
Is
Defend
it,
kind of gives you a
that's
little more leeway.
wait, that's because the game is running at 30 frames, right?
I don't know. I don't know if they did that for that, or if they just kind of said, "Hey, we'll give you an extra challenge with the reward of completely negating your damage and returning damage to the bad guy with a
Oh.
counterattack
Mhm.
versus a defense, which would just raise your defense more, so that you either negate the damage or you lessen it." Um, but it still got so much charm. Uh, it's crazy that this was a game for the GameCube, and like that was like almost 20 years ago, and it still feels fresh today. The story is great. The characters are each one has their own personalities, and it's fun just even talking to some of the just random toads, actually, because everyone actually kind of has their name, and you can find out by using the Goomba character to kind of like give you background stories of all the different characters. Or she also has a skill called Tattle in Battle, which gives you a little description of what the enemies that you're fighting. Um, and of course, it's got her own little like personality and charm to it. Like all of a sudden, she could be talking something and then thinking like, "Oh my gosh, this is super gross," and or she'd be talking about Goomba and you'd be like, "Yeah, it's kind of like me, but not as cool," or
Yeah.
So it's this game is definitely worth like going back to seeing Mario RPG back in its prime before Nintendo decided let's stop giving them interesting characters and stories and just give us Sticker Star.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because we just got the remake of Super Mario Brother or Super Mario RPG as well, right?
Mhm.
So the same year. And it's an interesting time because really, even though I'm old, those games I never played that. I never played and that's a shame that I didn't play Super Mario RPG. And I
Yeah.
never played Paper Mario Thousand Year Door because I moved on to PlayStation at that point, and I was a PlayStation person.
Mhm.
I don't want to say like I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm not like
Yeah.
diehard fan of anything, but it was just that at that time that was my gaming interest, and I moved to PlayStation. So it's kind of fun to see these games come back, but it's interesting to see both of them come back this year too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I obviously know why they jumped to Thousand Year Door. That was the one that people were screaming for the most. But it's interesting that they didn't like remake Paper Mario.
Yeah.
Like they
Well,
went straight
it's
to
on the Switch though.
It is. It is. It looks like an N64 game.
Yeah, it does look like an N64 game.
Yeah, where this one, seriously, like, I think they must have used the assets from Paper Mario and the Origami King because
Yeah.
it's right at that level.
Is
Of
it? Did
like,
you play that one? Did you play the Origami King?
I played through like 90% of the game and then I stopped for some reason at the last level and never went back. I don't know why.
This better though than
Oh yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this is traditional RPG, but I won't lie, I do like the Origami King's battle system with the little puzzly combat
Mm-hmm.
mechanics that it had. But yeah, this one's just straight up like turn-based RPG. You can level up your HP, your flower points, or the way the real gamers do it, they level up the badge points
Mm.
because the badge points give you the abilities. That's where the money's at. But yeah, it's a fun game. I already got 3 stars out of the 7 to open up the door. So I look forward to I look forward to talking about that in book club later.
Okay, I will.
Did you beat the original one? I'm sorry, may I ask that question?
No. Go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I did beat the original a long time ago, so I do know what is behind the door.
Okay.
But yeah, it's if you haven't tried it, or even if you have, this game's worth like replaying again just for the nostalgic feeling, and like I said, it feels fresh. So the game that I've really been focusing though since I beat Rise of the Ronin is the Trails of Cold Steel 4. And I've been focused on that because the Trails series is coming out with Trails Through Daybreak here in a couple months, and I'm behind because now with that one I have 3 Trails games I still got to beat. With the 4th one coming out here, and I got to at least beat Trails of Cold Steel and Trails into Reverie. Like I want to at least beat those this year before I can play Daybreak. But it's a great RPG. It's interesting how this series like became popular. This is a series that has a very continuous story. This is like Trails of Cold Steel 4 is essentially the 9th game in this series. And the story behind this one, while heavily dependent on the first 3 Cold Steels, also ties into what's called Trails of the Sky series, as well as the Trails from Zero and to Azure series as well.
Mhm.
And overall, like, I think now Japan's getting their 13th game. Yeah, the 13th one in the series is coming out in Japan here pretty soon, and it's really cool just to see that this is a story that they've been working on for well over 10 years now. It's just continuing on. A lot of repeat characters come back because it's very like character focused. You see these characters from game 1 and you see how grown up they are by game 4, and just how the relationships between them and anyone else, even the non-playable characters, are reoccurring. And you sometimes have quests dealing with them, and then you see them later on in a game, and you kind of get like a feeling like, hey, what's up? What's been going on with your life, and you get a little get to know them a little bit more. It's really cool just how immersive that world is because of how involved the series is. But yeah, I need to catch up. So I'm working on 4 right now while there isn't a whole lot else out there. But it's great. It's great. And finally, I'm also playing a puzzle game called Picross S, which they've come out with a lot of Picross games in the last couple months, and I'm trying to play them all, and it's daunting. But this one, the new Picross S game that came out, is based on Namco. It's called the Namco Legendary Edition. So that means all your Picross puzzles are Namco themed. So you got Pac-Man, you got like Xerxes, you got Galarian, like you got all the old like arcade cabinet 8-bit Namco like characters that you're, or objects that you're essentially making these puzzles out for. So it's fun. I loved it when they did the Sega Master Series, and I love this one. So I'm hopefully going to beat this one before another Picross game comes out. Otherwise, I'm in trouble because I tend to jump to the next one. I still get the Story of Seasons pixel lines to do, as well as the Logiart Picross series one that came out. There's too many Picrosses. I even got the one for the that were old Nintendo DS ones, and I got all the DLC with that. So it's like the Nintendo DS, like the 8 games that came for the DS. I have that one. I still haven't even touched that.
Do you have the Zelda one that was on the 3DS?
No, I want that one, but there's no way to bring it.
It was
like
free. It was a free game if you had so many coins.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I never did get that. I got I got the Pokemon one, and that one was kind of a gotcha like version of Picross, where you had to wait a certain amount of time or buy points to continue on with your puzzle. I thought that was like rude. I don't want to take time between my puzzles. I binged these puzzles.
Did I touch a sore spot or something?
No, but the Pokemon one did.
He sounded a little offended.
If you want
didn't
to touch a sore spot, talk about Hyperlight Drifter.
We do not talk about that series. We do not talk about that series with me.
Sorry.
To give you history, though, Roger, yes, I have beat that series. I tried to 100% and get everything in that series, and I got very freaking mad with it. It's one of those things where once I beat the game, I did not feel satisfaction. I felt anger. I
Wow.
felt disappointed in myself that I continued to play this game, and even though I hated it for like the last 20 hours of playing it, I still played it, and I hate myself for going through all that work.
That should be an icebreaker, because I have a game like that. You guys will not agree with this, but I felt that way with Untitled Goose Game.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
After playing that game for like, I don't know, several hours, I sat there and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I did not like that game, but I liked Little Kitty Big City.
That is almost kind of the same thing.
No, it's not. It's not. No, this Little Kitty Big City has a cute story to it.
I mean, so did Goose Game.
Did it?
Yeah. You were a goose, then you tormented people.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Not a story.
Though I will say, if you're interested in like bird games, the Duck Detective
Oh, Duck
and the
Detective.
Secret Salami,
Yeah.
it also has a designated quack button.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, I'm done.
All right, cool. I did have a crap. I had a question. Back when you were talking about a Thousand Year Door.
Oh,
Okay. So here's the thing. Like, I completely skipped Thousand Year Door because, like, I love the original Paper Mario so much that
mm-hmm.
that when it came out on the GameCube, like, I still had my GameCube at the time. So when it came out the GameCube, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know if I like the direction this game went. But so tell me, did I miss out on something by not playing this, and should I pick this up now?
You should. The direction does seem a little bit more of the darker side. You're in a town called Roguesport, and like the second screen has a gallows, like literally in the center of the screen.
In a
And
Nintendo game?
in a Nintendo game, there is a gallows right
With
in the center
Mario?
of town with Mario.
Oh my.
And for those who don't know what a gallows is, that's basically where you hang people. So it had a rope and noose.
But stickers.
No stickers. The
What?
town has graffiti though.
But weren't they stickers? Weren't they paper?
Yeah,
Gallows?
it's like it's like a paper thing,
Yeah,
but
paper gallows. They're not
it's
as
3D.
scary.
It's
Maybe that's the
diorama.
loophole.
That's the loophole. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah,
As long as we don't make it realistic, it's fine.
yeah, but yeah, it takes more of a darker theme where like everyone is like a thief or like a mob or just like I don't know. It's not as it's colorful, but it's colorful in a very dark way. The Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door, but it's definitely one that I highly recommend. I do think it was better than the first one in terms of improving your characters, your battle, and just overall fun of the game.
So which one is more panned to be the bad one then? Thousand Year Door or Origami King?
Oh, it's different. That's the problem. Like Paper Mario and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door are very similar, and then Paper Mario went into Super Paper Mario, which was more of a platformer where you could shift between 2 and 3D. And then you got Sticker Star, which is objectively the very worst one because of its bare minimal story and the fact that the combat no longer gave meaning. Like you played the combat so you could get more stickers to use in combat. There was no progression system in the combat.
Was that a DS or 3DS game? I don't remember.
That
3DS?
was a DS one, I believe. Yeah. Then you had Color Splash for the Wii U, and I fortunately never had that one. Which I hear was a step up from Sticker Star, but not by much. And then you had the Mario and Luigi Paper Mario crossover game. That one was actually pretty fun. And then you have Origami King, which is, I would say, is probably the third greatest Paper Mario game.
Thousand Year Door being the first, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Thousand Year original Origami. Everything else can go to the wayside.
Wait. So Thousand Year Door.
Sorry. Super Paper Mario was good. We can.
Is that on Wii?
Super Paper Mario was a Wii one. Was a Wii game, and that one I would put third. Then Origami King.
Oh, so Origami King's is last, basically.
Last are the good ones.
Okay. Oh, the good ones. Okay.
I don't acknowledge Sticker Star and Color Splash.
I think the reason why I like the Mario and Luigi series a lot is because Mario and Luigi seem like the natural continuation of Paper Mario. If that makes any sense. Well, actually, my bad. Actually, Mario and Luigi seems more the natural follow up to Mario RPG. I'm sorry.
I think that was the issue. Was Paper Mario and Luigi were very similar. They both had the turn-based battle system with the button context to it, And
Mhm.
so I think that's kind of why they're like, we're going to take Paper Mario into a different direction. And then they realized that no one liked that direction. And so they kind of brought it back a little bit with the Origami King and made it more better. But yeah, that Sticker Star and Color Splash were the dark days of Paper Mario.
All right. Thanks, Pat.
You're
Stephanie,
welcome.
you're up.
I wish I feel bad. Like I don't really have that many games to talk about. I really need to make time to play.
Newsflash,
So I,
neither do I.
mm, but I am, I'm enjoying what I am playing. So
Same.
I'm going through Hellblade 2 very slowly, just because I don't know, splitting time between things, and my son decided he's going to start playing Roblox now, and the only place he could play Roblox is on the damn Xbox, and it pisses me off. I caved. I really didn't think he could go any lower than Minecraft, and he just had to go to Roblox.
Wait a couple of
So
years, you'll jump to Fortnite.
no, hell no. Oh, I don't know. I guess if he does, he does, right? I'll just call him a loser and be done with it. Just kidding. He still plays a few Mario games. He played Mario RPG with me. So there's some redeeming qualities.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever listen to this in the future, son, you are not a loser. But Hellblade 2, I won't say too much because I know Corey's been talking about it, but just as someone that hasn't come from a spot from originally being a fan and just getting into it late, I do find it fantastic. It's breathtaking visuals. It's the same type of gameplay, but just better, or it just didn't
Mm-hmm.
get worse. And I do like Senua's interactions with other characters, so I'm really into it now. Like really, I'm liking it better than the first one, but that's just kind of whatever. Hopefully, I'll finish it next. But I did finish Ghost Trick Phantom Detective.
Nice.
Nice.
I love that game. I had no idea where this would go when I first popped it in. My first impressions were still positive. I'm like, oh, interesting mechanic. It's a little puzzly. It's kind of quirky and cool. But then the more I played it, I'm like, I'm really digging the art style. I'm digging the music. There were only a handful of puzzles where I just caved and looked it up just because, due to limited game time play, I want to
Mhm.
eventually finish the game.
Mhm.
Characters are so endearing, and then when I reached the ending, it even had twists that I didn't see coming, and I was like, and I cried. I did cry a little bit because the
Mm.
story, it is very poignant. The whole, like, you can kinda empathize with the antagonist and stuff like that, and I'm like, "Whoa, I love this game. I am so happy I played this game. I hope more people play this game." It's really a treasure. Thank you, Capcom. Love Ghost Trick.
Yep.
I love anytime anyone says thank you, Capcom. I love it because Capcom is my favorite publisher.
Yeah,
They are.
I'm starting to really appreciate what they've made, and not only that, but I have a lot of respect that they kind of not, I'm sure every company, so to speak, has it, but they had their up years
Mhm.
decades ago, and then they kind of went down a bit as far as like what they were able to produce. But I really think Capcom's like back and on fire, with the Monster Hunter Rise and the next Monster Hunter Wilds, the Resident Evil remakes, uh, stuff like that. I'm like, dang, Capcom's just really they're back and better than ever. So
Now, if they really, really want to be perfect, they need to create another Mega Man game.
yeah, just
Well,
that last little
I
bit.
mean,
Mhm.
do we think there's going to be a Mega Man announcement at Summer Game Fest?
No.
Then they're not
Curious
going
if
to.
Capcom will
They're
be at Games Fest or if they're going to do their own Capcom Presents. Because haven't they done their own Capcom
Yeah,
Presents?
I
they've done it the last couple of years since the whole E3 thing.
I think it was confirmed that there's going to be an extended Monster Hunter Wilds trailer at Games Fest. So
Ooh, yes,
I was kind of
yes.
hoping for them to make a to be represented because of that silly Play Asia listing of all like the Resident Evil titles. I'm like, yay, give me Resident Evil, but I guess I'll have to wait.
You gotta get some goddamn Code Veronica remake. That's all I care
Well,
about
that
right
was
now.
one of the listings there, so I
I
got
know it's one of the
excited.
listings. Well, no. I thought
The-
PlayAsia just had the Resident Evil 9 thing. I thought that was
No,
just
they
it.
literally listed like every single Resident Evil game, like Resident Evil
Oh,
5,
okay.
Resident Evil Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil remake, and Resident Evil 9.
Say remake. I like it. I love it. What do we even need? Do we even need them to remake Resident Evil again? Do we need
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Why? Why?
First
Do we
person
need
mode.
wait? Do we need to just remade just so it keeps with the aesthetic of what's been going on right now of Resident Evil? Like
Yes.
just bring it out being completely isomorphic, like
Put it in the
like
Resident Evil engine.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Wait. Was no. I'm not gonna ask the question right now because I don't want to bog down the show any more than it's going to get bogged down anyway as we get into our topics. As far as what I've been playing, it's still basically the same stuff. I took an entire week off from Tekken, so there's no Tekken on my list of what I've been playing. I am basically all in on Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin right now. It's funny because like I know in my original playthrough on the Switch I'm a lot further than I am right now on the PC version. I'm playing on the ROG
Mhm.
Ally, so basically is like the Switch times 5 basically. But like I just fell in love with the story all over again, and that's something to be said, for a game that you put down. Like I think the only reason why I put Stories 2 down is because Sunbreak came out. So I was like, oh, I'm getting back on main Monster Hunter. I'll see you later and stuff like that, and just
Mhm.
never got back to it. So yeah, fallen in love with the story once again, and it's just fun, and I'm doing the OCD thing. Like I'm trying to get every unique monster that I hatch every unique monster that I can at the certain point that I'm at. So like I fought the Royal Monoblos 4 times now and cannot seem to capture an egg from this sucker, and I'm starting to get mad because the Royal Monoblos is one of the first royal monsters you meet very early in the game, and if you do not know what you're doing, you're going to get clapped. And yeah, I remember like when I was playing on my first run through on the Switch. Yeah, I got clapped a few times trying to fight it. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'll come back when I get a better weapon. I know what I'm doing now. So I've actually been fighting it. I fought him 4 times now, and I cannot get the sucker to run back to his den so I can steal an egg.
Well,
I'm getting
I
mad.
know not every monster in that game has an egg, so
Yeah, but you can't. I did look at the wiki. You can get a
that
Monoblos
is
egg.
one. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
all the royal monsters you can get one. Yeah,
Nice.
so I know it's there, and I just want it because remember last week you were out last week.
Yep.
Last week I was talking about like my current run through of it, and I was a little mad because like this Switch version, there was an exploit that you could do if you played the demo. If you played the demo version, because like the demo carries your save file over. There was an exploit where you can get an Anjanath early in the game. Yeah, and not just an Anjanath with a pretty good freaking grid, gene grid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a little mad that I couldn't recreate that again because it's nice having an actual red monster that's worth a damn, in the early stages of the game and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of why I'm on this tear of getting this Monoblos. If it wasn't because it's a red monster, it's a power type monster and stuff like that, and also it burrows. It's because you can either get Basarios at this point, which I'm all right with, or you can get a Monoblos. And I know I'm being a Monster Hunter nerd here because I love all these unique monsters and stuff anyway. But yeah. And I forgot how much Naviru pisses me off. It's not so much because I love the Palicos in Monster Hunter, but this guy, my God, like he's a Palico that doesn't realize he's a Palico, and I'm like, dude, you're a cat. shut up. Like
he's
let
a
me write my
cat.
monster.
He's a cat that loves donuts.
Yeah, that's something he and I have in common.
Mhm.
So I mean, he gets a place at the table for that. But I'm like, just shut up, man. I'm like, is the reason why we're not talking is because he talks?
Yes.
Yeah. So did spend a little bit of time in Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, but I think I'm on this tear of Monster Hunter Stories 2 right now because Monster Hunter Stories is getting ready to come. I think Monster Hunter Stories will be out next week. And I'm like, I'm gonna rebuy the game. I'm so glad they're just re-releasing it $30. I'm happy for. Is it $30 or is it 40? It's cheap.
I think
It's cheap.
I don't remember.
In this day and age, it's cheap.
You can get both of them for $60, and so I
Yeah.
thought the idea was, I think by getting the bundle, you're saving $10.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm rebuying Monster Hunter Stories, because I mean, like a game like this, if you have a ROG Ally, a Steam Deck, a Legion Go, an MSI Claw, Shutter. It should be in your library of games to play. Especially if you have a portable PC, it should be in your library of games to play, and I recommend it. And actually, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut plays very freaking nice on a handheld, on a PC handheld. So you should be getting that too. And guess what? It's not $70 freaking dollars like I'm pretty sure God of War Ragnarok is going to be when the price officially announces for that. By the way, did you guys catch the State of Play last week? You guys caught that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it a good one or was it not a good one?
I liked it.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was
Yeah.
solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid State of Play. I don't know what's wrong with the internet out there, and this is not just me being like the host of Crossroads, and it being a former Sony show, whatnot. Like, no, this was compared to the last couple of SOPs that were out there. Like, this is a good one, and it's definitely better than the showcase they had, which the showcase was basically more about like first party and exclusives for Sony and stuff like this. This was actually a really good State of Play, and everybody's gonna be like, well, this was because he saw Monster Hunter in there. Like, yeah, Monster Hunter was in there, and yeah, of course I'm gonna get excited and stuff like that. But a lot of the other stuff they showed off was pretty amazing. Even Concord, which is basically Destiny and Overwatch's love child. I actually like that, but the Marvel game, I think that's gonna be the one.
Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, Marvel Rivals. I think that's going to be the one. Like,
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. They had a great variety of what they showed, and they were all like, there's something for everybody. I mean, look how well Helldivers 2 as a multiplayer has been doing on that platform. So they have something multiplayer. They have that Marvel thing, like you said, that not for me, but I know will be a hit. Monster Hunter, even though I couldn't get into it with Rise, but like it looks like an epic next chapter in Monster Hunter, so I think that's a strong showing. They threw Silent Hill 2 in there.
Now, Silent Hill 2 was the one that I was like, this is looking rough. But the presentation Konami did actually kind of like redeemed it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they're like they gave Sony like pre-cut stuff, but it wasn't the stuff that they had ready to go for their show and stuff like that. So yeah, because Silent Hill, in my opinion, was like the stinker of the show. In my opinion, even the VR stuff looked a lot more intriguing than Silent Hill during the State of Play.
Alien game? I'm all for
Yes.
Astrobot, by the way.
Yes, me too.
Astrobot's my game.
Yeah, Astrobot. Thank you.
Yes,
Glad someone mentioned it. The
Do you
game's
think-
gonna be so freaking good.
Do you think they're going to introduce that at a $40 price tag, or do you think it's going to be like a
I've heard 60.
60? Okay. Are we cool with Astrobot being a $60 game?
Hell yeah.
I've heard that there's a ton of levels in there, right? I already forgot the figure, but there's like
it's supposed to be 8 worlds, 10 levels. So this is basically like a Super Mario rival.
I think they said 75 levels altogether.
Also, given that, like, that's fine.
It's a full game,
Yeah.
especially if it's fleshed out in the same way that Astrobot's Playroom was.
Yeah.
On the PS5.
I would have paid money for Playroom. That game
I would have paid money too. Yeah.
I would have paid $30 for Playroom, to be perfectly honest.
Mhm.
And the fact that this is 4 times more than Playroom, I would pay $70 for Astrobot.
Yeah. It looks like I finally have a reason to dust off my PS5.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I was going to say is I don't think there was anything in that direct. It was a fine or state of play. It was a fine state of play, but there wasn't anything that I'm like, oh, I have to go out and buy a PlayStation 5 because I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet. So
Mm.
nothing convinced me to go out and buy a PlayStation 5. Anything that I've seen was fine.
Yeah,
I mean, the Astrobot,
Astrobot. Yeah.
Astrobot. Yeah.
Astro Boy is something different.
Yep.
Yeah, that looked good. And Concord looked like a game that I probably wouldn't play. No offense, but just
Mhm.
not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
if it wasn't a 5-5, 5 versus 5 shooter,
Yeah.
was it?
5v5, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 5v5,
You know,
yeah.
it looked like it should have been a single player experience, like Guardians of the Galaxy, but
Mm.
it's a
That's
shooter.
kind of what like that video kind of like it was like a riff on Guardians of the Galaxy. Not saying it was like meant
Yeah.
to joke or poke fun at it and stuff like that, but it had that Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, and I don't know, like I feel like in that space Sony's a little behind the curve on that one. It seems like they're playing catch up, they're playing catch up on this when like a lot of companies are already moving on. But then again, this is also like Firewalker's first game, and remember, this is a studio that Sony like basically acquired with us and not knowing any information about. It was a brand new studio. They only had concept stuff at the time, and Sony was like, "We're gonna put our faith in you. We're gonna snatch you up now," and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
Well,
I'm
Roger, I mean, just sorry.
no, I was gonna say I'm putting a little bit of faith in them, but it's also with a grain of salt.
I was
It's
just going to say, I think this is what the majority of people on the internet need to learn is you can not be interested in the games in a showcase or a direct, and it could still be an objectively good
Mhm.
showing.
Yeah.
It's a good
Agreed.
showing, but just not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like this is what I love about the video game, the state of the industry. There's a lot of things I don't like about the state of the industry, but there are some things I like about it. And the fact that listen to all the games we're playing and the diverse like landscape of all the different games we're playing, and just like hearing the deep dives into like Monster Hunter and the lore behind that, and it's fun. Like I think that's so cool. Like, I don't know enough about Monster Hunter to deep dive into that stuff, but it's fun to hear other people be excited about it. Like that's cool to
Yeah.
me. I think that's awesome.
Mhm.
And I play games that a lot of people won't play because they're like, that sounds weird, and that's okay too, right? But that's what I love about the state of the industry. I don't like the layoffs. I don't like the greed that's happening across and the burnout that's happening. But I do like the wide variety of games that we offer. So I do care about your Monster Hunter. I do
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
I was just being silly in the chat. That's all.
No.
I was about to put the war cry in
Yeah.
the comment stream.
No, before we veer too far off topic there, I think it's a great transition to our current topic that we had
Mhm.
tonight. It's just how the state of the video game industry is going, and in more particular, the media of the video game industry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, like for real, so yeah, like everyone knows right now, the news is Ziff Davis is buying more gaming media. Ziff Davis, for those people who don't know, that's the parent company of our favorite site, IGN. Sarcasm.
Mhm.
They also own Humble Bundle, which I actually subscribe to the Humble Choice monthly and stuff like that. And I feel like Humble is definitely like a really good like website, and they have a very good venture with all the stuff they do for charities and organizations and stuff like that. But yeah, like gaming media in general, like you don't have to be a hardcore gamer just to know that gaming media is basically dying. It's on its way out. Like it's all basically like SEO farming, just guides, of course, like, clickbaity pursuit of angry mobs and all that stuff. So why did Ziff Davis decide to buy more sites? Eurogamer, VGC, Video Game Chronicles, and parts of Digital Foundry. That's just part of the few things that are purchased out there. And of course, layoffs have already begun. Which, going back to something real quickly, a few like last month, Microsoft doing another round of layoffs and stuff like that. One of the people who is a former developer for not one of the teams affected by Microsoft's layoffs, but just one of the people that had been like rolled up in rounds of layoffs. They were like, like acquisitions and mergers usually means people are losing their jobs. It doesn't mean people are
Yeah.
keeping their jobs or having better job security and stuff like that. So there's that thing. So I guess the general question for everybody out here tonight, including our listeners and viewers out there, is what is happening in games media? Like, is real gaming journalism dead? And I was the one that kind of like brought this topic up to my peers here at the Boss Rush podcast, because for every one article that actually spread real news, gave out good information, there was 7 others out there that was like basically just nuts. Like it was a lot of it can be in the realm of like false reporting, false advertising. A lot of it was also misconstrued as, I'm tired of rumors. I really am. I'm especially tired of rumors that are designed to get people to their websites. Stephanie, I know you're burning up. You have something you want to say.
I just figured this would definitely be a topic that I would probably be better raising my hand instead of interrupting. My first thought is, and being kind of a more of a newbie in the game media industry, being a copy editor for the website, is they're finally catching up to what mainstream media has done, like mainstream journalism, which I haven't paid attention to in decades because it's mostly garbage. A lot of news outlets, like just general news outlets, have become just full of SEO farming and clickbait. And I also think I'm seeing consolidation as well, because every time I'm Googling something and I click on a website, I forgot like Hollywood Reporter or something, but then it would be under MSN. So I'm thinking I just feel like that's been going on in your mainstream journalism for a very, very long time. And you see what happens. People lose trust in them or don't take them very seriously. And I feel like video game media, I don't know if it's just because it's newer compared to mainstream media, but that's finally caught up. It's now in that stage where you're just there for the clicks. There is a lot of consolidation. I think journalism in general is industry that's difficult to make money and keep money in today's day and age. It's a challenging industry from a financial standpoint. So I think that's my initial thoughts. Just how I'm comparing it to mainstream news sites that I don't care about anymore, and that's what
Mm.
I'm seeing currently with video games.
Yeah,
You hit a good
why
go.
report the news when you can get more people by making the news?
But that's just it though. Like if you're gonna make the news, like make it something that people want to read. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
Make it.
what they're doing. Their negativity, unfortunately, is one of the best ways to get people to read, or not even read, but to click for comments. Is your fish? The best way to engage is to do it negatively, and I'm not saying that that's what we should be doing. That's the low hanging fruit of media, is to clickbait and to say this sucks, and you suck for it, so that way you get angry people who won't even read anything other than the headline to jump in and be like, well, I think you suck too, and then they bring other people that do that, and it just becomes an all-out war, and now you're famous because you created some headline that chances are 75% of the people didn't even read. They just got raged by the headline.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you posted just recently, or was it one of you two
It
posted?
was it was
Kotaku.
Stephanie.
Yeah,
Was it
Yeah.
Kotaku?
It was
yeah.
from Kotaku. Yeah.
Kotaku and the trans bullets,
Yeah. Like
was purposely designed to pick up rage, people without anyone ever even clicking on the article, but now they're news because of it.
what was Well, there was one, like I thought I had it in our text chain, but we talk so much in our text chain that that stuff gets lost real fast. Like if it's not, if it wasn't in there 5 minutes ago, like it's gone. Shoot, I can't remember what it was. Oh well. The what kind of really pisses me off though is like sometimes like there's just no care for consistency, if that makes any sense. Like it's that honestly it's the headlines that gets on my nerves sometimes, because I've seen some stuff that's just absolutely bad. So yeah, Roger, you got the floor. What do you want to say? What do you think about this?
So I think a couple of things. I have a lot of thoughts. Like, I think the first thing I want to do is separate like the corporate side and the reporting side of things, right? So like there is no question that there is this drive to like drive people to your website, and there is this whole probably push to do that, right? That's there, and I don't, and I suspect that that's not the side of things that folks that work in media like to do, right? Um,
I
Heck, I
sure as
want
hell
people.
hope not.
But I want people to go to my website. I want people to read my stuff. I want, but but it's like it's not the stuff that people like to do. But I also want to like highlight that, you know, I just want to make sure that we're not painting like a big picture here. Because like Rebecca Valentine, for instance, is a fantastic investigative journalist, and she works for IGN, and she is really, really good at what she does, right? There are journalists at all these places that are really, really good. I want to separate the corporate greed of like buying up all these companies and the Ziff Davis side of things and the journalist side of things, because I think that's a distinction there. But I do think that there is this push for getting people to the website and getting the clicks. So I'll give an example of where this actually happened to Gamerheads, where I had a guest on the show, and the guest misspoke. The guest was, well, they didn't misspeak. It was taken out of context, or taken wrong. The guest worked at a PlayStation studio, and the question came up of what is one game that people would like to come back, and he mentioned a game that no longer exists, but it was a Sony studio. And since he worked for a Sony studio, and he said, I heard rumors, and he just heard it from the internet. It wasn't like he heard it from the studio he worked at. All of a sudden, everybody started picking up. Like, for whatever reason, Reddit picked it up, and then Comic Book News and Screen Rant and Push Square all ran with the story, linking back
Wow.
to Gamerheads. I went out there and I took the episode. I cut it all out. I cut everything that he said about that and cut it out. But they were still linking to it, because and even after I cut it out, they were still linking to it, because it was the whole look, like it was almost like I don't want to say gotcha, but it was a gotcha moment, right? So yes, it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I also want to also highlight that there are really good journalists at all these sites that are doing really, really good work. And I just don't want to paint a bad picture of corporate greed and put that on these journalists as well, because it's not their fault, right? There is this push that, there's got to be clicks, otherwise that's your job, right?
That's
And that's the hard part, I think.
Very fair.
That's
Absolutely. Great point.
that's absolutely fair. And as such, even though we've name dropped some websites and stuff like that, I'm not going out there, because like the last thing I want is to be a person that's also part of like gaming media, to accidentally put stuff out there and someone winds up getting doxxed, because that's a real serious problem on the internet right now.
Yeah.
And you think it's just politics, or you know that this shit's happening. No, it's real. It's everyday real life stuff. It's just maddening. Like this stuff happens all the time, and so that's why I'm not naming names and naming absolute articles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I will say this though. There's more genuine ways of getting like your clicks and stuff like that. And yeah, you can find ways of doing stuff, without like okay, if it's absolutely news, if it's absolute news, then yeah, like put out the headline whatever way you want to. But if there is no story there, why put the most like like egregious headline on something?
Well,
And then people have to read like 19 paragraphs to find out, oh, there's no news.
yeah, and that's my biggest complaint too. Like, I know I've gone out to sites where it's just like, it's like this free game is something new for Nintendo players, or something Nintendo just released this brand new thing, and you go out there and it's just like an icon on the Nintendo Switch Online. I'm like, well, okay, and I had to read through several paragraphs to get to that point. But again, I do
Yeah.
suspect it's not the writer's fault. It is this is how you're going to write, because we want them to stay on our site long enough to get to the 15th paragraph where you actually reveal what the hidden gem is, and it turns out to be not really a hidden gem at all, right? Or like I read this all the time. This secret gem is only $1.99 on a Nintendo Switch, and then you go to it and it's like, it's a good game, but it's like, yeah, this game is always on sale. Like, why are you highlighting this now, right? But again, it's a weird moment, I think, in the gaming industry, because I think the big media industries are also facing up against folks that, and I'm not trying to sound mean here, but like folks that go out there and just create a YouTube channel to create buzz about something, whether it's good or bad, whether it's good journalists or bad journalism, or not journalists at all. It's just they're trying to generate something and get clicks to them, and then they get money off of that, right? And it's like they're trying to counteract that, and it's weird because I think the internet, in how it works, in how where our minds are wired to focus on negative things sometimes, kind of drives that as well. And maybe our mind is negative. Maybe our minds are driven or wired to negative things because it's our survival instinct to survive, and we fight that and whatever, and that's what we latch on to. I don't know, but it is weird to me that it's a weird landscape right now where it's getting the number of clicks is king. But I mean, you still have you have other sites, like you have Game Informer, which is fantastic. Like they do really great writings, right? Yeah. So like
I'm glad you mentioned that because with my distrust of GameStop and stuff like that, and the fact that GameStop owns Game Informer, it's wild that I will actually pick up a Game Informer and read it and know 95% of the content that's in there is actually credible. It's wild, But then like flip it, Game Rant, for example, like it's almost finding like a haystack, like a straw of hay in a stack of needles,
Yeah, I imagine it's probably really hard to write news because of how the changing landscape is in the industry, and like that you have to get. I think the other thing I was going to say is, I think the other thing that's counter to what we would rather see is just you have to get stuff out quickly, really fast, right? Because if you're the first one to produce it, then people will go to your site, right? And sometimes that means that you can't dig into the resources or sources as much as you'd like to. I think that's the other thing, is just it's the corporate greed that's constantly driving people. Like, we want people to go to our site, you better be the first person to put something out there. Yeah, I think that's what the main driver for that is.
Yeah. I think that's interesting, because now you hear about things like Kotaku, how they're trying to more focus on guides, and I think that's more because of the clicks. That I'm more likely to click on something for a guide than I am for a news story, to be perfectly honest. You can hear the news story on just about every social media now.
Before you finish that sentence, I want to ask you this real quickly. Is it because like the trust in Kotaku's reporting of the events has been eroded, or
no,
do you think?
I think the corporate just wants more clicks. and that's why they want
Okay.
to switch. It was a corporate decision to go more with a focus on their guides than news. Even though I don't know if Kotaku's actually gone in that direction or not, because I don't read Kotaku. But game guides are supposedly like one of the bigger pushes now, because of the fact it's the printed media that people will actually go and click on.
Yeah, and it's more evergreen, you know.
Mhm.
Yep. Speaking of game guides, go check out Game Rant's game guides from our friend Grayson Morales.
Grayson Morales. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Quality journalist right there.
See, Grayson, we trust.
Yep.
In Grayson we trust, yes.
In Grayson, we trust. That is true. Yep. Okay. So I kind of said everything I wanted to say, especially because like I was on a brush the topic, but I did want to I did want to see how everybody felt about this, because in all seriousness, I swear to God, like I've had up to here,
Honestly,
honestly,
I think the move was more of a corporate move. Zip Davis is either one, trying to get rid of competition, or two, he's trying to get assets. And
Mhm.
that's honestly why he bought those. I don't think he has any, or I don't think the company has any aspirations of expanding by taking those. I think they're purely, we're taking your assets.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I wanted to highlight with that too is the moment that happened, they said we took care of redundancies, or we get let go of redundancies, which means they laid off people, right? They laid off journalists, and journalists that have been there for a very long time at these places. And again, I mean, like, I think, separating Zip Davis from the journalists that do the work, like that sucks. And it is a weird time too, because I do think that there's a lot of people that think that they can write and rip on games journalists and say how terrible they are as well, right? Like on social media. Like social media is the other thing I think is the great evil in our society, because boy, everybody is an expert and they can hide behind an avatar that doesn't, and have like 3 followers because they just made that account to rip on somebody. And it's a it's a weird time where you have this just visceral hatred towards people in the game industry, and I don't get it. Like, it's weird. It's again, separate the greed from the people that do the work. Like, I can separate what Ziff Davis did and the people that work for IGN. And like, I know that when that happened, a lot of people are like, oh, like, hey, you journalists, you said this is a bad thing, because no, they had nothing to do with that. They didn't go out and say, hey, let's buy these other sites. It's just a weird time.
Times they are changing. There was one reason why this fueled my whole thing. Did you guys catch the Neil Druckmann thing that Sony put on PS
This is
Blog?
why you need games journalism, though. This is why you need it.
Like when the man himself has to get on his own social media and apologize for the fact that he was misquoted by his own company PR, and they put an entire article up there on their website. And then Sony had to eventually to take it down and actually issue their own apology for it and stuff like that. We have a problem.
Yeah. But again, there's the corporate, right? The corporate driven, because they were trying to make a statement, try to get something out there. I don't know. It was about AI, and he was misquoted about how AI is being used in games, and it was weird. It was a weird moment.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. All right. We're not gonna beat this horse too much longer. All right. So if you guys want to engage with us and interact with us, please head over to our Discord. Hit us up in our various chat circles. Will that be on Twitter? I refuse to call it X.
But guys, it now supports porn because they couldn't get rid of it, so they embraced it.
Yeah.
I
Is it
look
going to be called Triple X now?
triple.
Oh,
That's
hell.
probably that's probably what Musk was going for in the
Yeah,
first place.
probably. He was
That's
probably
probably
like, if
what
I
he was.
change this to X.
No, my theory is he couldn't get rid of the porn bots. So rather than make it look like a failure, he's like, you know what? I support the porn.
But I thought he was this genius though. Like, shouldn't he have invented something that would automatically remove all the bots? Shouldn't he?
He's not the genius. It's the people that work for him.
Oh, I know. Like everything I said was pure sarcasm because like
I just want to make sure everyone else knows that he is not the genius. He is just a person who whipped the geniuses to do their job.
it pisses me off when I think about this guy because like he was in Iron Man. Like he was in that movie, and then he got a soundbite in the second episode of Star Trek Discovery, the very second like they name dropped him, and I'm like, man, like fast forward like 7 years later, and now I would now how come no one has digitally corrected that out of hey we can retroactively go back and like digitally alter stuff, like it's almost like it never existed.
Yeah.
Why has no one done that yet? Because I mean, like, yeah.
Not worth it.
Maybe,
It's
yeah,
not worth
it probably isn't. Yeah, it probably not. They don't want to spend more money because of this guy. They don't want to
Mhm.
do that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and close off that topic. Do we have time
We-
to hit up our
I think we
question?
can hit this question as long as we don't go like really deep
That's
into it.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
All right. So just remember, you can always submit your questions through Patreon to the Patreon thread that goes up every Tuesday. You can also find our Twitter thread or join the Boss Rush Network Discord server and find the podcast question thread there, and just go ahead and ask your questions there, of course. The one and only Yari. Yay!
Mhm.
They've been hitting us with some of the best questions here, and it doesn't stop tonight because their question is, "What's your favorite depiction of queerness in video games?"
in honor of Pride Month.
In honor of Pride Month, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I can do that.
Go for it.
So for me, it's a very easy one. There is a character in Dragon Quest XI that, while they don't express his or their sexuality, he hints pretty heavily that he's gay, and that is Sylvando from Dragon Quest XI.
Hmm.
But he's like, it's interesting because usually the Japanese portrays their stereotypes very like negatively, but Sylvando comes off as a very positive influence in the team. Like when disaster hits the world, he's the one that's like, I have to spread cheer. You know, he's very flamboyant, very open. He calls everyone darlings and sweeties, and he's especially more fond of the male characters in your party. But he's they don't like make it a joke. Like he's a very supportive character and like a very valuable member of the team, even though he comes off as flamboyant. It's I think it's actually a very honest portrayal from people that don't necessarily represent gays very well.
Okay.
For me, and let me say a disclaimer in case people interpret this the wrong way. I'm bisexual, so I consider myself part of the community. My favorite representations are those that I feel A are a bit more genuine, and B, because the whole point for me with the LGBTQ plus community is we're just like everybody else. Just treat us like normal people, like because I don't know. And I have a big distrust for media and big companies because sometimes I feel that when they put queer characters in a movie or a game, sometimes it can feel shoehorned or just kind of what's it, patronizing. It could be misinterpreted, but I hate that more. So I just kind of like one. ones that are reflected that just feels a bit more natural. Like my favorite is May from A Night in the Woods. She is, I believe, or they are pansexual. I believe that she has a best friend that is male. It's hard to say what gender because they're all like anthropomorphic animals, but there's a lot of LGBTQ plus representation in the game. But it's not like in your face, like look at what we're doing. It's just they're people living their lives with these relationships and the struggles that go along with their everyday lives. And then another one is probably a bit more popular of a game is, Baldur's Gate 3. There's lots of queer characters in there, but they're just littered throughout the world along with everybody else, and it's just normal. You know what I'm saying? So like that's when I prefer and enjoy and appreciate the representation is when it's just we're all part of the story and I'm not just shoehorned in here, be like, hey, that's the gay person in the game. We're woke, we're cool, man. No, that goes up it goes up me sideways. So sorry
It
for
has
the
to feel
minor
genuine,
rant.
right? It feels to be
Genuine.
genuine. Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
I agree. I
See,
agree.
Raj is just more sophisticated and just threw the word out instead of me just like
Yeah.
standing on my soapbox, shaking my
No,
fist at
no,
the sky.
no,
That
you were well spoken. I agree with you on that. So yeah.
no, that actually just reminded me of another one from a very recent game, Dion from Final Fantasy 16.
Hmm.
He was a gay character, but his gayness, didn't stop him from being an awesome leader. And it was just so subtle too. Like you saw the tender relationships between him and his boyfriend, but that didn't define
That
him as
wasn't
a
why he was
character.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry, didn't mean to jump in there again.
No.
No.
Perfect.
Roger, did you have someone you want to add to this?
I do. I don't know if any of you played the game In Stars and Time,
Hmm.
but it is a RPG game where there's loop mechanics, not loop mechanics like looping time,
Mhm.
and loot mechanics is something different. But anyway, there's two characters in there. There's Sifrin and then there's Isabeau, and uh while Sifrin goes by he they or he them, Isabeau is a guy, and they have like Isabeau has feelings for Sifrin, and but like you said, Steph, it feels genuine. It doesn't feel like forced. Like in the moments, it's such a cool game because this whole group has worked together for a very long time, for like I think a year and a half, 2 years, but you're just getting to the point where they're at the end of their journey and they're going to fight this big monster together. And uh Isabeau shows affection towards Sifrin, and like says the things that he needs to say before they go fight this big battle. It's such a wonderful moment, and I love it. And yeah, it's the genuine piece of it, right? Just and like honestly, like it got me teary eyed when I was playing it because it just felt so real. So, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm doing I'm going to do a throwback on this one. Okay, so it because like it was one of these ones like this character's been around since 1989, and like
Is it
there's been
I
huh
was gonna say Birdo.
Birdo?
no not Birdo,
Oh,
not Birdo.
that's what I was thinking
No,
too. Birdo.
no, an actual illustrated human being
Oh.
for this one. But if anyone's ever played Final Fight, the character Poison. Now there's been a lot of debate to the point where even the original creator for this character like came up and it was kind of shocking news to me because I want to say when Poison character reappeared in Street Fighter 4, that's when like the debate really came up about whether or not she was trans, and so like doing a little bit of history and research and stuff like that, you come to find out that in the original Japanese depiction for Poison is just basically a female thug that's part of the Mad Gear gang and stuff like that. But because of how Nintendo was back in the 80s and stuff like that, it was a little bad form to be beating up on women and stuff like that. Even though we had the Lindas in Double Dragon, I don't get it. Yeah, but anyway, so
They had
Nintendo's
whips. They were dominatrix. It worked. They like getting beat up.
Yeah. Yeah, so when the North American like translation for Final Fight came out and stuff like that, like it was first explained that Poison was a male cross dresser. It was even the term called new half, which basically means like a trans person, stuff like that. But later, Yosuda, he came out and said basically the way he feels about the character is as far as like Japan, like it's a cis woman, but for North America, he considers her a trans woman. Actually, a post-op trans. Those are his exact words. Poison is officially a post-op transsexual woman and stuff like that. And it was just wild thinking of that. Like like we've been playing video games like since the Nintendo era and stuff like that, and we already had like like some type of representation for queerness in games and stuff like that. And I mean, if you play Poison in like any of the various games that she's been featured in, that's a tough broad. She can hold her own and stuff like that, and yeah, I mean, she's sexualized as far as like her depictions and her drawings and stuff like that. And some of the stuff she does, like the way she sticks her ass out when she's fighting you and stuff like that, like, hey, it's all there for you. So, like, hey, like, so this is why I always say, like, like I feel like sometimes it's really weird when people get like sexually aroused off of illustrations and stuff like that, because you never know what's going on behind that illustration sometimes. So you might want to be careful. You might want to check your fetish. Yep. Any final thoughts?
Does Birdo count? Can Birdo count? I think so.
Birdo is considered a cross-dresser in the lore.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like
Birdo is considered.
Birdo's a man that thinks it's a woman.
Yeah. Yep.
They identifies as a woman. Not thinks.
I just always thought Birdo was just like a freaky looking
dinosaur that spat eggs from its snout.
Yeah.
But has a thing for Yoshi, right? Doesn't Birdo have a thing for Yoshi?
Oh gosh, we do not want to go into Yoshi lore.
Okay.
Yeah, please no. All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. So I would just want to first of all say thank you to everyone that's been watching or listening to this episode of Boss Rush Podcast. Roger, thank you. And once again, just real quick, like plug everybody where they can find you at and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate being here. And I feel like I'm your adoptive kid or something like that.
You're a ROG ally of Boss Rush.
That's right. I forgot. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at NintendoRaj, which is really funny because if you go there, the banner is actually all of us. I'm interrupting your picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! That's my favorite.
Yeah. So it's fun.
I believe that's the banner. Was my banner on Facebook? Sorry, go. Keep going.
Yeah. So that I love that picture because it's very funny. So you can follow us there. You could also go to our website at gamerheadspodcast.com. Or to our YouTube channel as well, as we have YouTube channel where all of our episodes are posted there too. Even the really bad ones from like a long time ago when we didn't know what we were doing. So don't listen to those. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't. It would be wasting your time. But yeah. Thank you again.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Okay. As always, you can catch new episodes of the Boss Rush Podcast every Monday on your podcast service of choice or on YouTube. You can get the show early and ad-free along with other perks as for as little as $1 just by being a patron. So hit up patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. And also, be sure to check out our merch and find all the other content on bossrush.net, our website. Pat, Stephanie, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure,
Great
you guys.
Conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thank you for your time tonight, as always. And also, thank you everyone out there who's been watching and or listening. Hey, everyone, guess what? This is episode 231 of the Boss Rush Podcast. We all want you to go out there, play games, be better, have a great night, and take care of each other. And, give some of these guys a break that, are journalists in gaming. They're trying to have job security, and I don't know.
Mm.
Maybe we give them a hard time, but definitely do not give us, your writing team at Boss Rush Net, a hard time, because we do it because we love you, and we do it because we love gaming. So yeah, everyone, have a good night. We'll see you next time for our all new episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. So long.
Bye.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.